The alien ship drifted toward Earth like a wounded creature lost in the dark, its lights flickering, its hull scarred with deep burns that told a story no one could fully read. It moved slowly, as if afraid the next breath of space might tear it apart, and every scanner in the Sol system locked onto it with a mix of curiosity and fear. But Earth did not raise weapons, Earth did not hide behind shields. Earth simply opened its massive orbital hangar with warm golden light spilling out into the void, a silent welcome that made even veteran human pilots pause. Inside that hangar, engineers rushed forward with steady hands, soldiers stood tall like guardians from old legends, and someone, with the kindest smile in the galaxy, placed a steaming cup of coffee into the trembling hands of the alien commander who had expected nothing but suspicion. The alien's eyes widened at the warmth, the smell, the calmness of it all, as if humanity was telling them without words, "You're safe here, you're home now," and that single moment softened an entire ship full of exhausted survivors. But beneath that gentle welcome, something older and deeper stirred across Earth, something powerful enough to make the ground tremble and the air vibrate with a low, distant hum. In hidden oceans, black armored lids began to rise, releasing cold mist as giant warships awakened from their long sleep, their engines glowing like blue suns beneath the waves. In mountain vaults, metal doors slowly slid open, revealing ancient human warcraft built in shadow, silent and patient, waiting for a threat only humans sensed. And in orbit, beyond the safe glow of the hangar, the galaxy's most disciplined fleet rotated into alignment, row after row of ships turning their hulls toward the starless path the alien vessel came from. To the aliens drinking coffee on trembling hands, Earth felt warm and gentle, but the truth moved beneath their feet like a quiet storm preparing to burst. The alien commander turned toward the hangar window as a faint vibration ran through the station floor, a pulse that carried both warning and promise, and for the first time since fleeing their unknown enemy, they felt something overwhelming rising inside them. Hope mixed with fear, the kind that comes when you realize humanity's kindness is never separate from humanity's power. They only came for repairs. But something in Earth's silence told them their story was about to change forever. The hangar lights dimmed as the alien commander stepped closer to the window, coffee still warming their shaking hands, and for a moment everything felt suspended in a strange, peaceful silence. Human engineers moved around their ship with practiced grace, voices calm, eyes focused, every motion filled with quiet confidence that made the alien crew feel like children being gently carried out of a storm. Yet beneath that calm, the station floor vibrated again, a deep pulse rising like the heartbeat of something vast and hidden, a sound that no one could mistake for simple machinery. The commander's breath caught as they watched a ripple of light drift across Earth's atmosphere, a soft glow spreading along the clouds as if the planet itself was waking up. It was beautiful, almost comforting, but there was something in that glow that felt ancient, powerful, and ready. A human officer approached, his voice warm but steady, his expression holding that strange mix of kindness and quiet warning only humans seemed capable of. He promised repairs, upgrades, rest, and safety, but when the commander looked into his eyes, they saw something deeper, something preparing for a fight the aliens didn't even know how to describe. Behind them, human soldiers checked armor with soft clicks, not rushed, not afraid, but focused, as if they had done this 1,000 times and expected to do it 1,000 more. These weren't people scrambling for defense. These were protectors choosing a side before the battle even arrived. The alien crew watched in awe as drones floated around their ship, scanning damage, rebuilding shattered panels in real time, sparks dancing like fireflies across metal. Every human movement was fast, precise, quietly heroic. And still, that distant hum continued, stronger now, shaking loose dust from high beams as something massive shifted in Earth orbit. The commander felt a chill run down their spine, not from fear of humanity, but from the realization that Earth was not reacting to them. Earth was reacting to whatever chased them. A warning light blinked across the station, soft at first, almost polite, before turning a deep urgent red that washed over the walls like a rising tide. Human officers turned toward the command screens, their expressions sharpening in an instant, and the alien commander felt the warmth of the coffee fade from their hands. Something had appeared on long-range sensors. Something coming fast. And humanity was already moving to meet it. The alarm softened into a low, steady tone, the kind that didn't scream panic but carried a heavy truth that something dangerous was approaching, something close enough to touch the edges of Earth's defenses. The alien commander stepped closer to the viewing glass, their eyes narrowing as faint red markers flickered into existence across the holographic map, each one pulsing with a slow, ominous rhythm. Human officers moved with calm precision, not shouting, not rushing, as if they had trained for this exact moment 1,000 times before, their voices gently carrying through the room like a practice song meant to steady everyone's breath. The air felt heavier now, charged with tension and unspoken questions, and even the coffee in the commander's hand seemed to cool under the weight of whatever was crawling through the darkness toward Earth. For a brief moment, no one spoke, no one moved, everyone just stared at that expanding cluster of red signals slowly entering the Sol system like a shadow stretching across the stars. A young human technician whispered a reading, her voice barely audible, but it carried across the deck like a cold wind, and the alien commander felt their stomach drop. The approaching objects were not ships. Not in the way any species understood ships. They were fragments, thousands of fragmented objects drifting together in a pattern too controlled to be natural, yet too broken to match any known enemy design, each piece moving like torn metal swept by an invisible tide. The alien crew murmured in fear, recognizing the signature instantly, their hands tightening around railings as memories of a silent battlefield flooded their minds. These were the remains of vessels destroyed by the same force that had chased them across the stars, remains pulled along by something unseen, something powerful enough to crush entire fleets without leaving survivors. Humanity didn't know that name yet, but the aliens did, and their trembling voices spoke it like a curse. The Devourer Signal. A hush fell over the humans, not of fear, but of calculation, their eyes scanning the readings with an intensity that bordered on quiet fury, as if someone had dared threaten their home without understanding who lived there. Then, without warning, the viewing glass flickered, revealing one of the drifting fragments much closer than expected, its shape twisting slowly in the dark, a torn hull plate turning to reveal deep claw-like marks burned across its surface. The alien commander inhaled sharply, recognizing the insignia carved into the metal, their own flagship, the one they believed had been destroyed far behind them. It wasn't destroyed. It had been delivered to Earth's doorstep. The alien commander stared at the torn metal drifting in the void, their breath tightening as if invisible fingers had closed around their chest, and the hangar seemed to fall into a cold silence that pressed against every heart. That hull fragment wasn't just wreckage, it was a message, a warning carved into steel and delivered across light years by something that didn't move like a fleet, didn't fight like an empire, didn't show its face. Humanity leaned closer to the display, their eyes narrowing, their bodies still and focused, reading the truth hidden in those claw-like marks the way ancient sailors once read storms on the horizon. The commander could feel their voice breaking as they explained what chased them, the whispers of entire star systems consumed without sound, the way every signal died moments before contact, the way survivors, when there were any, spoke of a hunger that wasn't biological or emotional, but mechanical, empty, perfect. For the first time since reaching Earth, their fear spilled out openly, raw and trembling. But humanity didn't step back. Humanity stepped forward. A senior officer, silver hair, steady gaze, placed a hand on the commander's shoulder, not as comfort but as a grounding force, a silent promise that Earth never stood aside when someone begged for help. Around them, more officers gathered, scanning the data, their expressions shifting from surprise to calculation, to something fierce beneath the surface, something protective, something deeply human. The aliens expected questions, panic, disbelief. Instead, the humans exchanged a single look, the kind shared before a storm, the kind that said we face this together now. For the alien crew, that moment hit harder than any weapon, the realization that they were no longer running alone. But the tension wire snapped when a new sensor ping echoed across the chamber, sharp and immediate, making every display flare in deep orange. The fragments outside had stopped drifting. They were aligning, rotating piece by piece, forming a shape no one wanted to recognize, a shape that looked too deliberate for dead metal. Engineers froze, soldiers turned toward exits, and the alien commander felt their knees weaken as the readings sharpened into a clearer outline. Those fragments weren't debris. They were assembling themselves into a vessel built from the bones of the commander's own fleet, reforged by the same force that devoured everything in its path, now shaping itself into something new, and coming alive right in front of Earth. And the first spark of power lit up inside it. The spark inside the rebuilt vessel flickered once, faint and cold, then flared into a violent streak of light that carved through the darkness like a waking eye. Every alarm in the hangar screamed at once, red strobes pulsing across steel walls as the fragment-borne ship folded its jagged arms inward, pulling more debris toward its growing frame. Human officers snapped into motion, voices tight but controlled, their commands rolling through the station with sharp clarity that made the alien commander feel both terrified and strangely safe. The alien crew clung to railings, watching their own dead ships twist and merge into something grotesque, something that felt wrong in a way their minds struggled to explain, as if the void itself had learned how to breathe. The air in the hangar felt electric, charged with a rising storm that tightened every heartbeat into a painful rhythm. Far below, Earth's oceans churned as colossal warships rose through boiling water, their silhouettes towering like ancient titans shaking off centuries of silence. Human fleets launched from hidden craters in the moon, engines roaring with blue fire, turning the entire night side of Earth into a web of shining trails. Even the clouds seemed to pull apart as dreadnoughts ascended through them, their hulls humming at frequencies that vibrated through the bones of every watcher. Humanity had responded, not with fear, not with retreat, but with overwhelming readiness, a force that felt alive with purpose. Yet as powerful as it was, the alien commander knew the thing forming outside wasn't just a threat. It was the first piece of something far larger. The fragment-borne vessel completed its shape, its hull a patchwork of stolen metal and charred memories, its engines crackling with unnatural energy neither organic nor engineered. The commander felt tears sting their eyes as they recognized names etched on some pieces, names of friends, names of officers, names of ship families lost in the silent darkness behind them. And then, the vessel turned. Slowly, purposefully, as if it could see through steel, through walls, through fear itself, locking onto the orbital hangar where humans and aliens stood side by side. The temperature dropped, lights dimmed, and the hum outside deepened into something that felt like a warning from the void. Human shields shot up around the station with a metallic roar, but the glowing lines on the creature vessel brightened, pulsing with energy building far too fast. A human officer whispered, "Brace for impact." But the first blast didn't come from the creature. It came from the far edge of the system, another signal, enormous, rising like a second storm. A second entity had just arrived. The second signal rolled through the system like thunder, a deep tremor that shook every console, every hull, every breath. For a single heartbeat, the galaxy seemed to hold still, as if space itself was deciding whether to break or bend. Human ships pivoted toward the new threat, engines roaring with fierce blue fire, while the alien commander felt their pulse race as the reading sharpened into a shape so massive it eclipsed the stars behind it. But something was different this time. This newcomer wasn't a twisted corpse of metal. It was whole, stable, steady, and its energy signature wasn't cold or hollow. It felt alive, ancient, and watching. The creature vessel born from the wreckage paused, its pulsing light faltering as if confused by the sudden presence, and for the first time the alien commander felt a sliver of hope cut through the terror tightening their chest. Humanity didn't hesitate. Dreadnoughts positioned themselves between Earth and both unknown entities, forming a protective wall that glowed with shield light strong enough to paint the entire night side of the planet in shimmering blue. Human officers spoke in calm, steady voices, guiding fleets into perfect formation, their resolve radiating through every transmission like a promise. Earth stands. Earth protects. Earth does not abandon its guests. The second entity drifted closer, its massive frame unfolding like wings made of starlight and shadow, revealing patterns older than any known empire. The alien commander gasped softly, recognizing fragments of ancient warnings passed down through forgotten generations. Warnings about a guardian force that only appeared in the presence of devouring darkness. The creature vessel recoiled, its assembled hull trembling as if sensing a predator far greater than itself. And then, in a moment that felt like the universe exhaling, the guardian turned. Not toward Earth, not toward humanity, but toward the twisted creation born from the commander's fallen fleet. A soundless shockwave rippled through space as the guardian released its first strike, a beam of pure white cutting clean through the creature's core, tearing apart the stolen metal with surgical precision. Human warships surged forward, unleashing their own fire, joining the guardian in a storm of light that turned the void into a battlefield of blazing colors. The alien commander watched their past break apart, their fear dissolve, their guilt lift as the thing that hunted them finally fell silent. And when the last fragment faded into dust, the guardian slowly folded its wings and drifted away, vanishing as quietly as it arrived. Earth's fleet dimmed its guns, shields lowering with the soft hum of machines easing into rest, and in that gentle silence the commander finally realized the truth. They hadn't escaped the Devourers. They had found a home where humanity would never let them face the dark alone. And for the first time in a long, starless journey, they breathed without fear. The dust of the shattered creature drifted through the void like dying embers, glowing faintly before fading into nothing, yet the silence it left behind felt too heavy, too unnatural, as if the battle had only wiped away the surface of a much deeper truth. The alien commander stood beside human officers at the hangar window, staring into the quiet dark where the guardian had vanished, their heart pounding with questions that felt older than their own memories. Humanity's fleets remained in formation, engines pulsing like steady heartbeats, but every pilot, every technician, every soldier could feel it. The Guardians' arrival hadn't been luck, and it hadn't been coincidence. Something had called it. Something had awakened it. And whatever that something was, it was connected to Earth. A soft tremor rippled through the station floor, not violent, not dangerous, just enough to make loose tools rattle and lights flicker, as if the planet beneath them was shifting in its sleep. Engineers exchanged uneasy glances, whispering about deep ocean readings spiking again, about strange signals rising from Earth's core, signals that didn't match any technology humanity had ever built. The alien commander felt a chill climb their spine as they remembered the glow they'd seen earlier across the clouds, that warm pulse that felt both comforting and ancient, like a heartbeat hidden beneath continents and oceans. Now that same glow returned, faint, low, throbbing through the atmosphere like a quiet breath spreading across the planet. Human officers stared at their screens, confused, intrigued, unsettled. These readings didn't come from the Devourers. They didn't come from the Guardian. They came from below, from Earth itself. The commander swallowed hard, the realization forming slowly, painfully, as they watched the data scroll across holograms. The Guardian had appeared only after the planet pulsed with that impossible energy. The Devourer creature had paused the moment the glow strengthened. The signals matched. Not perfectly, but close enough to shake every assumption they'd ever had. A technician's voice cracked as she read the newest data spike, her breath catching midway through her sentence. "Captain, we're detecting something rising from beneath Earth's crust. Not a ship. Not organic. Not a machine. Something else." A deep hum rolled through the station, vibrating in their bones, and the hangar walls glowed with the same soft golden light the alien commander had felt earlier, a light that wasn't human-made. And as every officer turned toward the window, the ocean far below split open with a blinding radiance, revealing a colossal shape rising from the depths, a structure older than any recorded human civilization, and carved in the same patterns as the Guardian itself. Earth wasn't just defending. Earth was remembering. The ocean erupted in a column of white-gold light, a slow and thunderous rise that felt less like technology and more like a memory pulling itself back into the world. The alien commander pressed a trembling hand against the viewing glass, eyes wide as the massive shape climbed upward, shedding centuries of salt and darkness. Human officers stood frozen, their faces lit by the glow reflecting off Earth's curve, shock mixing with something quieter, something almost sacred. The towering structure, neither ship nor fortress, rose like a forgotten monument, its surface carved with symbols older than any language known to the galaxy. And every time the light pulsed across its hull, the distant stars flickered as though responding to its call. Inside the hangar, no one spoke. Even the alarms lowered their voices, shifting into a softer tone as if the station itself sensed that raising its volume would be disrespectful. The alien crew huddled near the railing, fear tightening their shoulders, but awe softened their breath. This wasn't a weapon. It wasn't a war machine. It felt like a guardian root, a seed, a piece of the same ancient force that had saved them moments earlier. And somehow, impossibly, it had been sleeping on Earth long before humanity built cities, ships, or nations. Human officers exchanged silent looks, their expressions shifting from confusion to responsibility, the weight of a truth they had never asked for settling into their bones. If Earth carried this ancient power, then their place in the galaxy was far bigger, and far more dangerous, than anyone had imagined. The commander could feel the humans wrestling with it, their pride mixing with fear, their courage rising even as the unknown deepened around them. Humanity wasn't just defending a guest anymore. They were standing on the edge of a revelation that could reshape everything they believed about their past. A low tremor rolled through the structure rising from the sea, resonating with a voice that wasn't sound but feeling, a thunder inside the chest, a message older than any star map. The alien commander stepped closer, whispering that the Devourers would not let this awakening go unanswered, that what they destroyed across the galaxy might have been the echoes of this same ancient light. Humanity's expression hardened, shoulders straightening, jaws set, eyes sharp with a resolve that felt unbreakable. Above them, the sky dimmed slightly, a shadow passing between the moon and the rising structure. Every sensor lit at once. Something enormous was entering the system. And humanity, aliens, and the ancient power beneath the ocean, all braced for the storm that was finally coming. The shadow crossing the moon thickened into a monstrous silhouette, swallowing starlight as it descended with a slow, crushing inevitability that froze every heartbeat on the station. Human fleets shifted into attack formation, engines igniting with angry blue fire as dreadnoughts aligned their cannons toward the growing mass. The alien commander gripped the railing so tightly their knuckles burned, their breath shaking as the sensors finally resolved the shape. An enormous Devourer construct, bigger than any recorded, a fortress of twisted metal and stolen memories drifting into the system like a living nightmare. It pulsed with a dark hunger, each beat sending ripples through space, pulling loose debris toward it as if the void itself obeyed its will. The rising ancient structure in Earth's ocean answered with a pulse of its own, golden light flaring like the heartbeat of a giant waking from centuries of sleep. The sky ignited. Human warships unleashed their first volley, lances of blue light cutting across the darkness with a roar that vibrated through steel and bone. The Devourer construct absorbed the impact, bending the beams into its shifting hull, twisting them like threads before spitting the energy back in a beam that shattered an outer cruiser into glowing fragments. The shockwaves slammed into the orbital hangar, rattling every bolt, sending tools and debris flying as alarms exploded into red fury. But humanity did not break. They surged forward, maneuvering with razor precision, dreadnoughts weaving between arcs of deadly light, firing again and again, refusing to give ground even as the enemy's shadow grew. The alien commander felt tears burning at the edges of their vision, not from fear, but from the sight of humans fighting with a courage their species had never witnessed. Ships moved like living things, protecting one another, shielding Earth and its strange awakening with every engine flare, every blast of cannon fire. Then the ancient structure in the ocean erupted upward in a column of golden brilliance, tearing the clouds apart as it rose. Fully awakened now, towering higher than mountains, its core glowing like a newborn star. Humanity's fleets parted around it instinctively as it ascended into the sky, its presence bending the air, the sea, even gravity itself. The Devourer construct twisted toward it, lights sharpening into a predatory glare, sensing the ancient power it had hunted across galaxies. The alien commander whispered a prayer. Human officers braced, every ship across the system held its breath as the two titans faced one another. And then the Devourer opened its maw, gathering a beam of annihilation so bright it turned space white. The ancient structure answered, its core exploding with golden fire. Both energies collided, and the universe went silent. The collision of energies tore the darkness apart, golden light clashing with the Devourer's white beam in a storm so bright it washed color from the universe itself. For a moment, everything hung in a frozen silence, ships drifting weightless, hearts stopped, the very fabric of space trembling under the strain of forces older than memory. The alien commander shielded their eyes as the blast grew brighter, engulfing the horizon, swallowing stars, and turning the battlefield into a blinding sea of fire. Human officers stood firm at their stations, refusing to look away, their faces illuminated by the glow of a battle too vast for words. And then, just as the two energies reached their breaking point, the golden light surged forward like a final breath from the ancient world, and shattered the Devourer beam. The shockwave rippled across the system, gentle yet unstoppable, sweeping past warships and drifting debris like a warm tide returning to shore. It brushed against hulls, against skin, against hearts, carrying a strange feeling. Peace mixed with sorrow, victory wrapped in the echo of something long lost. The Devourer construct split down its center with a groan that seemed to shake the stars, its massive form collapsing inward before fragmenting into 1,000 pieces of dark metal that dissolved into drifting dust. The battlefield grew quiet, as if the universe itself was finally exhaling after holding its breath for too long. The ancient structure, now dimming, descended slowly back toward the ocean, its golden glow softening into gentle waves of light that shimmered across the clouds. Humanity's fleets lowered their weapons, engines flickering to a calm hum, the adrenaline fading into a deep, trembling relief. The alien commander leaned against the viewing glass, tears streaking silently as they watched the Devourer's remains fade into nothing, their nightmare finally over. Humans stood beside them without words, offering silent support, their faces reflecting exhaustion, pride, and the weight of everything they had just survived. As the ancient structure touched the ocean again, sinking beneath the waves as quietly as it had risen, the water closed over it with a soft, almost respectful glow. The alien commander whispered that no one across the galaxy would ever believe this story. A human officer smiled gently and replied, "They don't need to believe it. You just need to know you're safe now." Outside the hangar window, Earth rotated slowly beneath them, blue and bright and steady, a symbol of hope standing unshaken amid the ruins of war. And in the calm that followed, one truth settled over every heart. Some worlds defend themselves with weapons. But Earth defends with its soul.